Hey guys, welcome back to Cornerstone Youth Markham's YouTube channel. My name is Sarah and I'm so excited to begin our new series called Free People, where through the book of James, we're really going to learn about the two rules that actually matter the most, and that's love God and love His people like we love ourselves. And also how the right rules can actually set us free instead of holding us back. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stay tuned for the ride. What's one rule you hate to follow and why?
Hey everyone, it's your boy Clark again, and this segment is called Half Baked, where I get to try and bake without any rules or even a recipe. What could go wrong, right?
Little did he know that a lot could go wrong.
We'll just put all of it in there.
A lot.
Let's get started. What we're going to be doing today is baking cookies. Although I don't know at all what the real steps are exactly, I do watch Food Network and I have seen those celebrity baking shows, so let's start with mixing the dry ingredients. Like, I'm not completely dumb, I know you're supposed to use flour. Now, the only problem is I don't really know what the measurements are. I know I want to make a dozen eggs.
I think he meant cookies.
Right.
Our hero went on to adding 2 whole cups of flour, the first mistake.
And I know we need some baking soda. No, we don't need as much of that, but...
And he proceeded to add what looks like 6 teaspoons of baking soda. Just 5 too many.
I mean, food always tastes better when it's a little salty, right? Salt brings the flavor out, so gotta maybe salt here and... Let's get in another one of those as well.
Oh no.
I don't know, do it. So my plan for these cookies is to make the kind of cookies I like. I mean, since I don't have a recipe or any rules that I have to follow, I might as well do the kind of food that I like. And I like my foods sweet and I like my foods spicy. So my plan today for these cookies is to make a chocolate chip butterscotch spicy cookie.
Oh no.
I've got some butter here. And we've got our mixer, so that goes in there.
I believe he added the full cow here.
Yeah, whatever. All right. We'll just put all of it in there.
Yep.
And I do like things sweet, so we're gonna get some sugar in there. We are baking, so gotta have some vanilla in there, right?
Right, but not that much.
Not that much.
Yep, that's what you get. Now, our hero goes on to making many more mistakes, but you'll have to watch next week's video to find out. Everyone responds to rules differently. You know, you might be the type of person to push back on any rule, or maybe you'll accept it because rules are rules for a reason, right? But no matter who you are, at one point in your life, you might face a rule that you really don't like, a rule that makes you feel caged. Have you ever felt caged by a rule? Maybe it was a curfew, or a dress code, or who you were allowed to hang out with, or your phone restrictions, or maybe it was something God said to do or said not to do. So what do we do about the rules we don't want to follow? How do we handle our frustration at not being able to be as free as we want to be? And what does the Bible say to help us? Does it just tell us to obey? End of discussion? Today we're going to talk about a guy named James. And James wrote a book in the Bible that has a lot to say about rules. And he has a famous brother. You might know him. His name is Jesus. And after Jesus rose from the dead, James dove headfirst into spreading the good news about Jesus. And he even became the leader of the Church of Jerusalem, which was a faith community made up of Jewish believers who began to follow Jesus. And James grew up in a Jewish culture with a lot of rules. There were obvious rules like don't kill anyone, but there were also hundreds of other rules like don't wear clothes made up of more than one fabric. Or if you find an ox on the side of the road, stop what you're doing and take it back to its owner immediately. And say goodbye to eating bacon or shrimp. These things were considered unclean. Maybe it seems weird that God gave the Jewish people so many rules, but they had a purpose. You know, some of these rules kept them healthy and safe. Others set them apart from other nations. Others taught them how to live peacefully with each other. And these rules also helped them connect with God. These rules served a purpose. But after Jesus came, the Jewish people realized that things had changed. Because Jesus had made things right with them and God, they weren't required to follow all these rules anymore. Or were they? Well, James wrote a letter to help explain it. So we're going to read from James 1 verses 22 to 25. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and, after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. So let's break this down a little. Do what God said. If you've ever been told, stop what you're doing and do what I said, you might be hearing this in that tone, but that's not what James is doing. He isn't telling us to be quiet and stop eating bacon because God said so. That's not the kind of law James means. So what law is James talking about? God's word helps us see ourselves clearly, just like a mirror. The rule, don't eat bacon, doesn't show me much about who I am, other than the fact that I might love bacon. So what is James talking about? How can God's laws help us see ourselves more clearly? And following God's law gives freedom. How is this possible? Don't laws keep you trapped and controlled? How can a law set you free? Well, the law that James is talking about is actually not on the list of the hundreds of laws that the Jewish people had followed for so long. When Jesus was still on earth, he introduced his followers to a new rule, which would take the place of and complete all the old rules. This new rule changed everything. So you can read it for yourself in Matthew 22 verses 35 to 40, but the backstory of this was that Jesus was being interrogated by religious leaders, and these religious leaders believed that following all these laws and rules made them super holy and super right and loved by God. So when these religious leaders asked Jesus what the most important law was, they expected him to tell them an answer they already knew, but Jesus said something that they did not expect. Here's what Jesus had to say about God's rules. The two that mattered the most were love God and then love others as we love ourselves. And when Jesus said that all the law hangs on these two commandments, he was saying that if you're truly loving God and others, you're already following God's law. So let's break this down a little bit more. When we love God and others, we're doing what God says. Love is how we do something about God's word rather than just hearing it. We see ourselves more clearly. Like a mirror, the command to love God and others shows us just how well we're following God's law. Even if we follow every rule exactly, if we're not loving God and others, we're not following God's law. We find freedom. The religious leaders at the time believed that you had to follow hundreds or thousands of rules in order for God to love and accept you. But Jesus came to free us from that. Under Jesus' new law, the law of love, two things changed. We learned that we don't have to do anything in order to earn or keep God's love for us. We're already loved. We learned that we don't have to follow thousands of rules if we just follow one: love. God isn't about rules that make us feel like prisoners. The rules that God gives us are designed to set us free. Free from trying to earn God's love, free from trying to be perfect, free from trying to follow a long list of rules, free to love and be loved by the God who made us. The key to our freedom is the rule of love. When we follow it, we discover that the right rules can actually set us free. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this video. We are so grateful to be on this journey with you to find out all about rules and the right rules and how God's rules can protect us, keep us safe, and set us free. So thank you guys for watching. We say a big hello to you all. If you're from our Cornerstone family or our global family, we love you all and are praying for you, and we hope that you are blessed in this season. All right, guys, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram at Cornerstone Youth Markham, and don't forget to subscribe to join our YouTube family so you'll never miss another episode. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye!